Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the 2022 Greater Sacramento Area Masters. We still have the top 24 bowlers from yesterday's 6-game qualifier, and the winner will be decided by 2-game matches and a double elimination bracket. I'm Kevin here with Alex. Let's get right back into the action. Alright, here we are in round 3 where we have Lance Lopez against Tim Conklin. Tim going to be up first here on the left lane. Tim qualified in 7th with a plus 199 for a 233.17 average. Now, Tim did have the first round bye, and he bowled in round 2 where he defeated Brian Williams 488 to 421. So for Tim's 2 games bowled today, he's averaging 244. So quite a bit of improvement from maybe through qualifying, although that is only through 2 games. But here we have Lance Lopez, who qualified in 15th with a plus 139 for a 223.17 average. Now, Lance did have to bowl round 1 and round 2, where he defeated Lorenzo Liu in the first round 455 to 406, and defeated Tyler Charnow in round 2 518 to 461. And Tyler was the number 2 seed through qualifying. And so Lance Lopez through 4 games, averaging 234.25 on the day. And great opening 2 shots for Lance and Tim. Both guys getting the strike on their first up. Now, at the beginning of every match, these guys do have 2 minutes of warm-up on the pair. So they're not coming in completely blind. They get a few shots on there to see kind of what the lanes are doing. And Tim throwing another great shot there. Some tournaments, when you move pairs, you don't get that little extra practice, and so you're kind of going in blind and you have to figure it out on the fly. These guys having a little bit of an advantage to getting to throw a few shots on there before the scores actually count. And Tim almost getting the strike there, leaving the 10-pin that's stayed wiggling. But should be a pretty easy spare and good pickup. Now, unfortunately, Alex, I don't believe neither of us really have too much knowledge about either of these guys. As for those of you who aren't local, Sacramento is about, I don't know,
hour and a half.
Yeah, hour and a half drive up north from where we are. So I don't really know either of these guys' game that well. So we're going to do our best to give you guys a little bit of insight on what's going on. But we didn't bowl on this pattern, and we don't know these competitors, so we're going to do our best.
To me, this is kind of fun, just like, what balls were they throwing? Usually I'm kind of observative of watching people left to right of me, just what are they throwing, what lines are they playing, their physical game, all sorts of things. As Tim steps up here in the 4th, I believe he'll be throwing either the Motive Pride or the Motive VIP Affliction. Both bowlers, again, fairly straight lines. Again, just on this pattern, being 4-1, you're going to have to rely more on shot making, whereas, again, in our GSA Masters tournament, the house shot, I believe, was 10 or 12-1, so you could attack it from all angles. On this Kegel Titanium, not just the length, but the ratio is also going to dictate a little bit on the lane play.
And what we've seen so far, if you're just tuning in part 1 of this tournament, the guys that were finding success were definitely playing straighter lines. We haven't really seen anybody try and bend the ball too much, and that might be a bit unfortunate there, leaving the 7-10 for Lance. But maybe these guys, especially through qualifying, realize that playing the big angles weren't working on this pattern, and so you're going to see, at least so far, we've seen a lot of guys go a lot straighter.
And then, as I mentioned, the fun of trying to figure out which bowling balls they are. Lance's primary bowling ball is orange. The first two that come to mind would of course be a 900 global flux pearl. That would be an orange, and then of course wearing a Hammer jersey, my guess would be maybe an orange vibe.
And Lance coming, oh, good shy there. Lance coming in a little high on the last two shots, leaving a 7-10 and then the 4-10. After throwing a few good strikes before that, would not have expected the transition that quick, but we'll have to see as the match goes on what happens. And Tim throwing a decent shot there, maybe throwing it a little hard, a little fast, leaving just a 7. Good cover there. So a chance for Tim to take an early lead here. If he can find a few strikes in a row. Well, leaving just a 10 pin there. Really good shot though. Sometimes you can only do so much. But pick it up here, and that looks left. Yeah, that was. Looking at his hand, I wonder if he must have maybe had a blister or something. We'll have to see if that affects him as the match goes on. Now Lance going a little high in the last two. Expect him to make a little bit of a move here. Coming in a little light and leaving a back-to-back 7-10s on lane 18. Really unfortunate there, but he's smiling about it. At least he's able to laugh it off. A lesser competitor might let that kind of break their spirit a little bit, but he's got the right idea. Sometimes all you can do is laugh at the situation. Throw the shot you need to throw, and the rest is out of your hands. So a bit of an important shot here for Lance after 3 splits and 3 opens in a row. Great shot there. Now Tim with a pretty decent lead. Max score, he's got a 34 pin lead. 32 pin lead. And getting the strike there. So Tim definitely trying to hook the ball a little bit more. Looks like he's using more of a higher friction ball, more surface to get the ball to read. And leaving another 10 pin there. He's going to be looking to get a little redemption on the 10 pin after missing it left in the 7th frame. And that looks left again. So earlier he was kind of looking at his finger, not really sure what the issue was. Maybe it's something that's bothering him. At least when he's shooting the 10 pin. Hopefully not like a torn blister or anything. But we'll have to see how that plays out in the rest of this match. And Lance, pretty fortunate to have 3 splits and 3 opens in a row, and max score to be tied. Getting a nice double there, but he's pretty fortunate that he's not, down quite a bit. And on the flip side, Tim missing 2 10 pins, fortunate to also not be down in the match. So both these guys knowing they could definitely be bowling a lot better and definitely giving some pins away that they didn't need to be, but it's not really costing them too much at the moment. And ooh, wow. Chipping the 3-6. I love Lance's attitude. He's just a happy-go-lucky guy, it seems like. I don't really know him that well, only what I'm seeing on video, and he's able to laugh off shots that are lucky and unlucky. It's a good mentality to have. It keeps you in the match even when you're down. You don't get down on yourself. If you're gonna get beat, don't defeat yourself. And other than that stretch, in frames 5, 6, and 7, Lance putting up some good shots. 4 in a row now. He's gonna try and strike out for 204, leaving just a 7, 203. Not his best, but he's not down in the match, and he'll definitely be looking to improve on that in the second game. And Tim, a great shot there. So if Tim can strike out, he'll have a 1-pin lead going into the second game. And another good shot. So both these guys must know each other pretty well. They've been kind of laughing and joking with each other the entire match. It's good to see, competitors also friends. And Tim going a little high there, leaving the 4-6-10. So Lance is going to have a 2-pin lead going into the second game. Still anybody's match.
Just a quick digression as we see a bowler to the right, Tyler Charnow, throwing an orange ball. It could also be a Roto-Grip Idol Helios. Again, just bowling ball observations as the bowlers compete. Tyler Charnow on 19. Again, from time to time, if you watch on the right lane, you'll see possibly the same orange bowling ball. So again, it could be Flux Pearl, Idol Helios, Orange Vibe. Who knows? I wasn't there.
And Tim coming in a little bit light after going high, leaving the 4-6-10 on his fill ball in the first game, leaving the 2-4-5-8. I read somewhere that's one of the hardest non-split washout spares to pick up. Let us know in the comments what your crutch spare is. I know for me, I don't know why the 3-6-10. That's my crutch. I tried going straight at it. I've tried hooking at it. It seems like it's just one of those spares that I struggle with. How about you, Alex? What's the one spare you seem to leave more than you wish you would? That just seems impossibly hard to pick up sometimes.
Corners for sure. 10 pins more than 7s, but multi-pins it's a 6-10 for whatever reason.
Ooh, lucky strike there for Lance. He's way. I love these two guys and their attitude towards each other. It just seems like, there's one of those mental blocks that some of the bowlers have. They just have that one spare that just gets in their head, and there's no real reason for it. It's just one of those things. But Lance getting the first 2 here. Looking to get the first 3, leaving soft 7. Either one of these bowlers with an opportunity to catch fire and take control of the match. Good cover. Good shot there for Tim. Unfortunately, coming in a little strong, leaving the 9. Back-to-back 9s. So it seems like when either player gives their opponent an opportunity to take advantage of the match, something happens and they're unable to. When Lance had those 3 splits in the first game, right there soon after, Tim missed those 2 10 pins and kept the match close. I feel like at some point somebody's gonna jump out in the lead and try and hang on. He hates it. Definitely getting that one left to target. Fortunate to not hit that out of bounds, coming in, at least hitting the head pin, leaving just the 10 pin. He knows that could have easily been much worse. Covers the spare, fills the frame, keeps the match close. And again, one of those things where, you know, Tim goes back-to-back 9 pins, and Lance with an opportunity to double and really take charge in the match, leaving a 10 pin and an 8 pin. So from a viewer standpoint, it's probably pretty exciting to keep the matches close. I mean, I don't think it's, well, tough break there for Tim, leaving the 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. But, you know, as a viewer, it's probably more exciting to have the matches close, but as a competitor, you don't want matches close. You'd love to get a big lead and hang on to it and have a stress-free victory. As Tim not only unable to pick it up, but only getting one, so not even really getting count. It looks like he's struggling to get the ball to the right. You know, he missed those 2 10 pins left, and then probably trying to pick off, you know, get it close to picking off the 10 pin to pick up the Greek church, and missing left again, only getting the 9. And then maybe over adjusting, hitting that out of bounds, and missing the head pin right, leaving the 1, 2, 4. And ball coming in a little light on the spare, and almost leaving the 4 pin there. So I wonder if Tim's finger's giving him a little bit of issues. You know, he was kind of holding it earlier and showing Lance something on his finger. It might be affecting the way he's getting out of the ball. And Lance getting the strike there, finally able to get one when his opponent gave him an opening. And with a strike here, Lance able to open up a pretty good lead with only a handful of frames left. A little light and tripping the 3.
I know it's early, but maybe we can get a Crumble or Cookie Crumbles to sponsor our crumbling pins forward.
Yeah, if any cookie company is watching and wants to sponsor our videos, let us know. So Tim with an important strike there. Kind of keeps him in this match. Lance definitely pulling a little bit ahead. And big shot here for Tim. Ball just never really read. Coming in very light, leaving just the 4. Good cover. Now, if Lance can double here, he's gonna all but secure his win in this match, and he'll move on to round 5. He'll skip round 4. The loser of this match will bowl in round 4 in the eliminator bracket. Great break there. 7 and the 10, the last 2 to go down. With a strike here, that'll put Lance at 400, and Tim can strike out for a max 401. So not even really needing the strike, just count, gets the strike anyway. So Lance is going to move on to round 5, more or less officially. He still needs one more pin if Tim strikes out. I have all the confidence in the world that Lance can handle that. So Tim is going to suffer his first loss. He's going to move on to round 4 in the eliminator bracket. Getting a nice strike there, tripping the 2, 8, 10. But hopefully his finger isn't going to give him too much issues. after the mishap in the 7th frame or 8th frame, it didn't really look like he favored it at all or even brought it up. So hopefully he's able to run that linear bracket, and with any luck, we'll see him again in the semifinals.
As Tim is wrapping up this match, I believe that, again, that bowling ball is using is the VIP Affliction. Fun fact for you, that was one of the limited edition runs Motive did during the closure in COVID. The VIP series, again, very exclusive. There was a reddish blue EJ VIP for Motive that they've only released 500 out to the public. As Tim finished up his shot here. Good ending shot for this small little rant, or this small digression. But yeah, the VIP series, just a couple 100 made, and then they made up a few more of the Affliction. The Affliction, the one that Tim was using, was better for patterns. Thus, as this tournament made sense why it worked fairly well. And the original EJ VIP was better for friction or house shots. Limited edition balls, if you are a fan of Motive, definitely look out for them and pick them up, because again, they're kind of a rarity. They're definitely going to go for a little bit.
Yeah, good stuff. And Lance definitely finding the shot in, was it the 6th frame, going perfect since then. Gonna take at least a 50-pin victory here. Doesn't really, oh, there you go, pocket 7-10, well, no, just pocket 10-10. Pin's not carrying over from match to match, so, you know, 1-pin victory does you as well as a 100. So Lance gonna move on to round 5, and again, here we are in round 5. Again, we have Danny Liu against PJ Haggerty. Now, if you are just tuning in and didn't watch part 1, you'll see both of these bowlers in Danny in the first match, and then PJ in the second match. Great opening shot there for Danny. So let me look at my notes here. Let's see. So Danny bowled rounds 1, 2, and 3, shooting 450, 511, and 485. So for his 6 games bowled today, he's averaging 241. Whereas PJ, we saw in round 2 shooting a 444 against Von Jaden, and then in round 3 shooting a 496. So PJ has a 4-game total on the day, averaging 235. So both these guys bowling pretty well. Definitely above average for the tournament thus far. And you know, what can I say about these guys that we haven't already said? PJ needing no introduction, really. Like I said, if you didn't tune into round 1, I'll just kind of briefly give him a shout out for coming off his PBA Regional West win at the Earl Anthony Open last week. So PJ definitely one of the hottest bowlers in the West Coast right now. And as I mentioned in part 1, Danny Liu in the Stockton area, being inducted into the Stockton Hall of Fame next month. So both of these guys have a pretty good record on their side, and both very, very good, very competitive bowlers. Both very methodical bowlers. They like to take their time and study each shot and try and learn from it. And as I mentioned in the previous video, it's very tough to beat a competitor who tries to improve on a strike, and both of these guys are that type of bowler. And there's that slow walk back where he's kind of replaying the shot in his mind, coming in a little light, getting a mixer. Great shot for PJ. So PJ definitely looks like he tightened up his shot, and he's playing much more inside part of the lane, not getting the ball out very far at all. I feel like that's one of one of many of PJ's strengths is he's able to play that similar line. I see him play that a lot in these tournaments, and it's a shot that I don't really see anybody ever play, and he's kind of a master at it. Not so much on this lane, maybe just on the right lane as he gets that one out a little bit farther, but great shot there too. But he plays this extreme inside line where the ball never really gets outside of the 15 board and just kind of stays there at the last second, has that little directional change that is able to get the strike he needs. But you don't see too many guys playing that shot, and I feel like that's one of PJ's strengths is he's able to play that line very well, very comfortably. And it's a look that not too many guys even look to. And Danny throwing a great shot there. Both guys with the front four. Make that the front five for Danny. And as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to beat a guy that improves on a strike, and you could see that strike, he didn't really seem to like it all that much, and something on the lane he's going to pick up. But a lesser competitor will get a strike and move on with their day, and Danny's sitting there like, hey, that wasn't either the ball reaction or the pin reaction I was looking for. What can I do to get, to improve on that? And that's what makes him so tough is just getting a strike isn't necessarily enough. He wants the strike he's looking for. And DJ throwing a good shot there, a little high, leaving the 4-pin. But you can see that line he's playing, and the ball never really gets out much. If it does get past the 15, it doesn't get much past it on the right side. And just a look that I don't really see too many guys throwing. Great shot there. Looks a little wide. Almost getting the 7 out. Leaving the 3-7. And in this early in the match, I feel like count is pretty important. And Danny kind of realizing that also. Would you go for that split in this situation, Alex? Would you go for obviously, being a right-hander, it would be the 2-10 as opposed to the 3-7. Would you go for it, or would you just go for the count? Because being this early in the match, those 1 or 2 pins may not seem like it's that important, but by the end of the match, it could definitely add up.
For split attempts, yeah, I would personally go for it. Good shot there for Danny Liu. For makeable splits, in a sense, your 2-10s, 2-4-10s for a righty, 3-7s, 3-6-7s for a lefty. I would give it a shot. Again, PJ is clean. You want to try to copy your opponent's score, especially if it's someone as talented as PJ. You definitely want to stay as close as possible to him. So for count, yeah, Greek Church, Big Force, sure, go for that. But if I have a chance at picking it up, I'm going to go for it 100%.
Yeah, and if I would put myself in that situation, I would kind of give it a half go. Being a right-hander, and say I leave the 2-10, I would definitely go for the left side of the 2-pin. I wouldn't necessarily go for the spare. If I can get the left side of the 2-pin, you can still get a chance to pick it up, but I always want to try and guarantee myself the count as often as possible, especially early in the match when you're just not sure how much of those pins are going to matter. Now, if the situation is later in the match and there's only a few frames left, and you need to pick up the spare or the split to keep the match close, it's a different situation. I would definitely go for it more aggressively at that point. But just kind of interesting to see how different people attack a situation. And why is it so satisfying to get a pin to come out from behind the sweep? I don't know what it is, but anytime that happens, I just feel just a little bit better about myself. There's no real way to explain it. It's just, I feel like a lot of bowlers just kind of have that little twinkle in their eye when they can get a pin to come out from the pit.
In the comments, let us know how far you've bounced the pin out. If you've bounced the pin out all the way to the foul line, congrats to you.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one to read about. I've seen guys get it all the way to the foul line, and it's incredible to just watch the pin slide right down the middle of the lane all the way to the foul line. I definitely have never done that. I think probably maybe 15-20 feet from the pit is the best I've ever done, but I also don't throw it as hard as some of these guys can. So yeah, it'd be interesting to hear from you guys the farthest you've bounced the pin out. And Danny throwing a great double there, kind of making up for that split open he had in the 6th frame. And BJ with that extreme inside line. It's almost like he's playing down and in, but 10 boards left of what you would expect a down and in shot to look like. And the more I watch PJ bowl, the more I see him resort to that line, and it just seems so consistent for him. Obviously, the different patterns are going to dictate different lines he's going to have to throw, but it's definitely one he's very good at. Although this is PJ, I'm sure he's good at just about any line he has to throw.
If you have a chance to watch PJ bowl in any tournament, qualifying, position round, final, start to finish, it's just, again, phenomenal watching what he can do with the bowling ball, especially at the bottom. A lot of guys, you can see him roll him a little bit more, kind of twirl it, but PJ just has a very consistent touch. Wrapped in as we speak about his release. Again, it's just phenomenal to watch him. Just, again, what he does with the lanes, how he sees them, how quickly he can adjust, whether it's his feet, wrist, hand position, bowling ball. Again, just art.
And it's tough to comment on a guy like PJ because he can make those subtle changes that, to the viewer you're not going to notice, or you may not be able to see. As drastic as moving 2 and 1 with your target or whatever. When he tweaks it with his hand position, you can't see that. And Danny throwing a good shot, leaving the 7. So Danny can pick this up and strike and keep it a 2-pin match. A good cover there. Both guys going to be in the 240s. But kind of what you would expect in the winner's bracket at this point. Both these guys, Danny has 3 victories because he bowled in round 1, BJ with 2. Both guys undefeated. And Danny going to clean up his fill ball for a 245.
Again, quickly going back to Danny's 3-7, where again I would go for it 100%. Kevin said kind of half and half. For me, I would have lost count, say, if I would have missed it, because the 210 is one of my thorns in my side in a sense. I'm either 50-50 with it. I'll pick it up or I'll miss it completely. So again, that's where, do you get count? Do you go for 100%? It's one of those that can make or break you in a match.
Yeah, and if in the situation where if Danny were to have missed both, it would have cost him 2 pins where he'd be down 4 instead of 2, which may not seem like much, but so many times you see a match come down to a must strike to advance, whereas if you would have got that extra couple pins, you can afford yourself a 9 count to advance. And then in a pressure situation, a 9 is significantly easier than forcing yourself to have to get the strike. But that's all speculation at this point. Danny getting the strike on the right lane. Didn't look like he liked it too much, but it all looks the same on the scoreboard, right? And, oh, okay. Another one of those fortunate, unfortunate spots. Throws a good shot. Unfortunate to leave the 7, but fortunate that the 10 fell. Able to cover the 7 nicely. We'll have to see what he's going to do about that. He's, like I said, Danny's definitely one of those guys, methodical players. So when he sees something like that, he's definitely going to start thinking about that shot and what he did and what he saw, and see if he can make an adjustment on that. And one thing I didn't mention that, and something bothered PJ there. He had to take a step back and reset. One thing I forgot to mention, Danny is 30 years active Army service. So, you know, thank you for your service, Danny. He's still active in the reserves, and just an all-around great guy on and off the lanes. If you ever see Danny and you want to approach him and talk to him about bowling, he's one of those kind of guys. He'll chat your ear off as much as you can, and just very friendly guy. PJ coming in light, leaving the 2-8, able to cover it, keeping the match close, 2-pin match still. As both guys kind of match shot for shot at this point in the second game.
As Kevin was mentioning, with Danny being very, very approachable, PJ may seem like the opposite. He's actually approachable during tournaments. He's, of course, in a different mode. Tournament mode for sure, just trying to, of course, focus on himself. He'll definitely be observative as well, definitely kind of, watch you a little bit if you're on his pair, or to left or right of him. It's one of those that you can talk to him maybe in between games, or definitely before or after practice if we just have like one or two small questions to ask him. PJ will definitely, of course, help you with that. He wants to see some folks continue to bowl tournaments. Of course, that would help the entries, and then also, too, in a sense, hopefully help build confidence that, hey, if I have a question, I can definitely approach PJ and get insight from one of the best bowlers in the West Coast.
Yeah, and kind of dovetailing on that, in part one we saw PJ bowl against Von Jaden. I'll have to look at my notes, but Von Jaden eventually got eliminated, and afterwards, I kind of saw them doing a little photo shoot with each other. Von Jaden getting a picture for his social media or whatnot. So PJ, one of those guys that he is approachable, but like you said, when he's in the match, he's definitely focused, lasered in. And unfortunately for Danny, what did he leave there? The 2-4-7, chopping the 4-7 off the 2. Definitely gonna hurt his chances a little bit. PJ's one of those guys that when he's when he smells blood in the water, he's gonna attack, and you give him an opening, you're almost guaranteed that the next shot is going to be right there in the pocket.
Oof.
And, well, I wasn't wrong. Great shot. Unfortunately, leaving the 8. And PJ knows that a strike there would have given him a nice little comfortable lead.
In addition to PJ's demeanor, again, why he's so good and performs so well, again, a collegiate product from Fresno State University, has been under the tutelage of Chris Preble, the coach at Fresno State, and then many tournaments left and right. Aside from being a family man, still bowls tournaments when he can, and that's where he gets all this experience. He's had success nationwide, so that's the experience coming from PJ.
Yeah, and that experience really invaluable. You put yourself in enough of those tough situations, you eventually find a way to get out of them more and more regularly. And that's not to say that Danny doesn't have that experience. Danny, a very accomplished bowler in his own right. Unfortunately, leaving the 7th in there, going to trail a little bit more in this match. And with only 5 frames left to go. Max score, Danny down 24. And 24 pins is a lot against someone like PJ who doesn't like to give up pins. So Danny gonna have to kind of find the pocket again here. It looks a little wide again, and paying the price for it, leaving the 3, 6, 7, 9. Very tough spare to pick up, but as we kind of mentioned in the first game, now later in the game, I feel like this is a situation where you kind of have to go for it, and that's kind of what happens when you go for it. You just sometimes you don't even get the count, but able to get 2. But PJ's lead is gonna just be that much more comfortable for him. And you can see right now that it says they're tied, but PJ is 1 frame behind. And with a strike there, he's going to get 20. And being on a double, his next shot, if he gets a strike, is going to be worth 30, whereas Danny, if he gets a strike in the 7th, it's only going to count as 10. So PJ with a pretty big lead. If you look at max score, he's going to be, if he can, both players can strike out, he'll have a 50-pin victory. And trying to get 50 pins from PJ is no small task, especially when he's throwing the ball like that. So PJ with a big double there, gonna extend his lead, and Danny in dire straits here. Basically, you're gonna have to double here, and he's gonna have to get the next 4 in his next up to really have any hope. But you can only do 1 shot at a time, so that was a good one.
As we're through 7 with Danny. Danny's throwing, I believe, the Joker's Wild. Now that I had a chance to get a couple messages with him through Facebook. That's what he ended up using for this match almost exclusively, whilst PJ was throwing the 900 Global Zen Soul. Again, the Zen Soul will be available May 27th. Both bowlers kind of using a stronger symmetrical, trying to pick up the lane properly. No break there, unfortunately for Danny. Definitely needed that one. And again, both bowlers just throwing that stronger symmetrical. Definitely good lines. It's just, again, trying to create the right angle to not just get to the pocket, but ultimately carry out the corners.
Yeah, good cover there for Danny. So with Danny maxing out at 437, PJ can strike here to get to 417 with, and would still have the 9th and 10th frame. It might be premature to say so, but I feel like Danny or PJ has all but got this match won. Yeah, and there's the strike there. So only needing 20 pins on a double with 2 frames. I feel like PJ could probably do that with his eyes closed, left-handed, with no holes in the ball. So more than likely, PJ's going to move on to round 7. And if Danny does ultimately lose this match, he'll move into the eliminator bracket in round 6. I'm sorry, he'll have a bye in round 6. He'll move on to round 7 in the eliminator bracket. And with PJ striking there already at 447, mathematically eliminating Danny. So Danny's going to bowl in round 7 in it's a little bit of a different format there for the eliminator bracket. He's going to be bowling against 3 other bowlers in a 1-game, essentially a 1-game roll-off. Winner moves on to the semifinals. The other 3 eliminated in a 3-way tie for 4th. So, Danny bowling all these matches in 2-game matches, he's going to have to change gears and have a 1-game match against 3 other bowlers. And it's sort of a winner-take-all situation. Great shot there, but he's gonna get a bye in round 6, as I mentioned. So he's gonna have a little bit of time to regroup and try and continue on his fight in round 7. Whereas PJ gonna stay in the winners bracket. Will also have a bye in round 6. He'll also be in round 7. But PJ will be bowling for either a spot in the finals or a spot in the semifinals. Whoever he ultimately bowls in round 7, the winner will move on to the finals, and the loser of that match will be in the semifinals. So PJ, guaranteed podium finish. Danny's going to have to do a little bit more work in round 7 to try and keep his tournament alive. But a couple of bad breaks, a couple of unfortunate shots, 3 opens in the second game, and after the second frame, PJ pretty much perfect. I mean, he had that 8-pin in the 4th frame, and I don't know if that was perfect, but that was a strike nonetheless. The 8-pin in the 4th frame, nothing you can do about that. So PJ really held this match in his hands from the 3rd frame on. And when it's your day, it's your day. I mean, what are you going to do? Gets the 10 to fall. And PJ going to be in the 500s. There weren't too many of those on the day. The pattern definitely playing a little bit tougher for most of these guys. All right, that's going to do it for part 2 of the Greater Sacramento Area Masters. Make sure you come back and check out part 3 coming up next.